Hi everyone, welcome back to Redlands Rundown. I'm your host, Sydney Dacus, and we're here today with Nathan Dacus, my little brother actually, and he is going to tell us a little bit about what he's been doing since he graduated. Redlands Rundown is a podcast for college, career, and everything in between, and we're excited to jump in and get started today. So, Nathan, if you could go ahead and tell us just a little bit about yourself, I don't know, like your degree, your major, what you're doing now, and things like that.
So I graduated from Redlands with an associate's degree in the fall of 2023 in business administration. And then I transferred to USAO and I graduated last December with my degree, bachelor's degree in economics. I started my job 2 weeks later, I think, and I'm a staff auditor at a bank in the city.
Yeah. I remember when you got hired and you had like that 2 week lull and you were like, Sabine, I just really can't wait to get to work. And I was like, I'd really be good at being unemployed. Cause like, I don't want to go back, and you were like, I am ready to go. Which is the thing about education is you have that break in between. So could you maybe tell us just a little bit about what drew you to this field that you're in now?
So I've always been very detail oriented.
Yeah.
I really like numbers. And I did an internship last summer at a bank in Chickasha. And it really showed me that the part of banking that I liked the best was going through the documents, either finding like the errors or finding information that people needed to help make them decisions, or, my indirect way of being able to help people rather than, because I've always wanted to find a way to help people in my job, but I knew that what I was good with was the numbers and the technicalities and the details.
Yeah.
And this kind of let me do both.
Yeah.
And I guess really the reason I started so quickly is I didn't know. It's not that I wasn't qualified for the job. It's just like the only qualification I was lacking was the needing to have a job before this, like the 2 to 3 years of experience required. But my interview skills, which I had, had classes where they prepared me for it, kind of helped me push me through. So I figured I needed to start as soon as I could so I could start getting experience.
I'm glad you said that about wanting to help people, but knowing that really your strengths lie more in like the details and the numbers. You've always been really good at math, and you helped me pass my college statistics class.
Yeah.
Shout out to you. And so I think we already like always knew as a family, because I remember you being like 8 years old and telling us you wanted to be an actuary.
Yeah.
So we always knew as a family like that was probably the direction you were going in. But I think a lot of people, what they want to do is help people. And so I think it's really great that that was also what you wanted to do, but you found a way to do it in a way that highlighted your strengths. You mentioned that you graduated in December. What was the transition like going into work almost immediately?
I think my advisor at USAO, her name was Professor Hatfield, Dr. Hatfield. She prepared me for it really well because she gave me a lot of power to do my own work and like structure things how I needed to, just because she knew that how my brain works and how like sometimes when I get really interested on a topic, I dig in way more than I need to. So the transition was pretty smooth because I went from already like doing deep dives into certain topics to where really I was just diving into documents that were already prepared. I didn't have to make them myself. And yeah, they were different, but like in economics, you're looking at numbers because you're trying to figure out studies and if you can use this data, if you can't use this data. And now in my job, I can use all the data that's given to me. I don't have to determine if I can use it or not because it's all been prepared.
Yeah.
So it really wasn't that difficult of a transition. She also let me do like presentations sometimes throughout the semester, which helped me be able to like present to a client.
Yeah.
Essentially like what my findings were.
Yeah. So would you say that you did still prepared for the work field?
Yeah.
I did.
I did.
How did your expectations of your first job compare to maybe the reality that you had created?
Way better. Way better. I always thought that I would work like at an actual bank doing something like whether it was what they call credit administration, which is where you prepare on documents, or being like an internal auditor, which is where you're really focused on like the procedures of the bank and how you can help it be more secure. I didn't ever think that I'd be able to go to like an actual firm where we get to help a lot of different banks that either like aren't big enough to be able to have their own staff in house, or just find it better use of money to pay us to come in and help them, but it's still very personal because it's like we're trying to help them figure out how they can improve their business for their customers. So,
because currently what you guys do, for those that don't know, is you guys are an outside auditor who goes into banks.
We essentially act as their internal audit or compliance department, which helps them, for one, follow the law, which very important, necessary, to some, but also helps them like notice like, hey, maybe this part of our procedures isn't strong enough, and if the FDIC comes in, they're going to have an issue with it. So if we fix it now because of what our auditors told us to do, we can have it to where they're going to count it as a positive and not as a negative or just a indifference.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit about that comparison, but what would you say that your emotions going into the first few weeks of your job were like?
I mean, I was anxious, but it was mostly because I had never been like the youngest person in a place. Especially to the degree where it was like a bunch of people, professionals who had been in the field, and I had 6 weeks of experience going into it.
Right.
A lot of it too was just excitement because I knew that that's what I wanted to do. Like, I didn't really have that like anxiety in terms of like, I don't know if this is for me. Like, I don't know if this is what I want to do. It's more like, am I going to be able to do this?
Right.
And if so, like, how can I get there faster? Because one of the biggest things for this job was that I needed to be able to learn quick, which has never been like an issue for me. But again, I had never done something like this. So I was like, am I going to be able to pick up this as quickly as I have other things?
Yeah.
And I think that there's one of the ladies I work with, she really set me up for success because she just told me like, you're on a lot bigger of a timeline than you think you are. Because she was like, some people, it takes them 2 years to fully figure things out. Like, you're not supposed to figure it out in the first 2 months.
Yeah. I think that's important that you touched on that, because I feel like I remember graduating college and that emotional whiplash, if you will, of I'm excited, but I'm terrified. And either I have no idea what I want to do, or I know this is what I want to do, but I'm still not sure that I'm going to be good enough to do it, is very honest. And I think a lot of us struggle with it because it is like starting all over again, right? Like, you've been doing something for 4 years, and then all of a sudden you're doing something else for the rest of your life, supposedly. And so that can be a really intimidating thing. I know, because we're related, that at the beginning you struggled a little bit with feeling like this was a hard place for you to be in, right? Like, maybe you weren't ready, or maybe you were unsure if you could figure this out. And so when would you say that you first noticed those feelings of like that imposter syndrome, if you will?
Probably the end of my first week there, just because like, the first few days when we started a new job, as I'm sure most people listen, you really don't do anything. It's more like, taking you around, getting you set up, making sure you have all your credentials and everything. But I think really when we started getting into what all the job encompassed, it was like certain parts of it that I was like, oh, I definitely do that because I've done it before. And then other parts that I was like, I don't know if I'm going to ever be able to figure out what this means.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like because going into it, I thought I had some expectation, but I didn't fully understand that, like, rather than just working on, one bank, you're working on, 50 plus. Yeah. So you're not really like, you're going to have personal relationships with all of them because you're going to be trying to help all of them. So it got really overwhelming because I was like, I'm not just going to be working like with one person. I'm going to be working with 100.
Yeah. Well, Dad and I joked when you first got the job, like, welcome to the real world, because everything, and this is no knock to you, but everything has always come pretty easy to you. Everything is not always easy to me. And so I think it was probably jarring for you. I know it was jarring for you going in and feeling like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if this is what I should be doing. And we were watching you kind of like, buck up, buddy. Like, we've done this before. Like, we know that we didn't know what we were doing. But I think you're not the only person ever to have had a lot of things, and it's not like you didn't work for it, but you're very smart.
And you think going in that it's going to be like everything you've ever done, and that it's going to be a smooth transition, and that you're going to, figure it out.
Yeah.
And I'm at a much better place now than I was 2 months ago, right? I'm learning new things every day.
Yeah.
And it's like every time that you think you've got something, figured out more, then you find something new and you're like, okay, maybe I don't have this figured out at all.
Yeah.
So but it's almost, it's become more exciting than scary, just because I've accepted that it's okay to not understand it.
Right.
And really it's the expectation. Because like now when I understand something faster, it's more like that's great that you're getting it this soon, rather than like well, yeah, you should have already known this.
Right. And I think that's what we wanted you to know, was that's part of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, we've all experienced those feelings of, okay, I don't know how to do this. And that's just honestly what life is going to be like a lot of the time.
Absolutely.
So how did you handle not knowing the things that maybe you felt like you should?
I've never had a problem asking people questions. And
That is true, yeah.
I think that a lot of people get really nervous and think that, like, I can't ask this question because it sounds stupid.
Yeah.
I've never had that problem, because I always have thought that, like, if I want an answer, I'm going to have to ask someone. Like, I can't always figure it out myself. So probably having to ask a lot of, not like, silly, but like repetitive questions, especially like my first, 2 or 3 weeks there.
Yeah.
Just because I wanted to learn everything I could before the start of the year, because that's when I knew that, like, things would actually pick up. Yeah. So I used my first 2 weeks as more of like I'm going to ask every single question that pops in my head, every chance I get.
Yeah.
And I also knew that, like, I get to work from home a lot, but the first 2 weeks I was mostly in the office. So I spent that time efficiently, like, asking again as many questions in person as I could, because sometimes it's hard to answer an email, but like most people have time for, 5-minute conversation in their office.
Yeah. Because I also work at USAO, which is where you got your bachelor's from. And when one of your professors told me that she loved having you in class because you were always asking questions and you were always raising your hand, that was my biggest nightmare. And I was like, God, I hope he learns to shut up, because I'm glad you ask questions, but that's like my biggest fear, is for someone else to know that I need help with something, right? And so I think it's really great, and I hope it's encouraging to people to hear that it's okay to ask questions. And also, you'd rather ask questions and do it right than mess it up for months and then later on the road be like, oh, I guess I could have just asked.
And I think especially like in high school, everyone saw me as like the person with the good grades who didn't who didn't mean to try as hard, but it was really that I was willing to ask any question that popped in my head, even if it was like something that everyone else had answered and I should have.
Yeah.
I would just go in and say, hey, I don't understand this.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't just want the answer. Like, can you explain to me how I get the answer?
Which the other thing with that is there were probably several students who were wondering the same thing, who were scared to ask. Because there were a lot of times in class that I was like, I really hope someone else
will ask.
Raise their hand. Because I'd like to know, but I'm not going to ask. So how would you say that learning on the job, like you've been talking about, is different than you having to learn in the classroom?
In the classroom, it's a lot more of a controlled environment, because like the books that you're learning from, or the information, well, I say that most of the materials you're learning from, like in my degree field at least, have been around for hundreds of years. So like the information's everywhere. Yeah, it's readily available. There was a few variables, just because like since I was in economics, I was doing like data analysis of stuff that had come out like 5 years ago that really wasn't on record. And all the job learning, it's like there's humans involved, like other people involved. It's not just you and books. It's like on the job, it's like not only are you having to learn all this, and like, the information's been out there for a while, just because of all the regulations, but like you're having to also factor in, like, I don't want to overstep on someone else's boundaries, and I don't want to seem like I'm trying to be mean asking this person a question. Because email, it's easy to come off mean. And like, because like I've even gotten emails where it's like, I'm pretty sure this person understands.
Like, do you think you're aggressive in emails? Because I'm sure I keep worry that you're sending
just like
emails.
When I ask questions, I ask questions direct.
Okay.
I'm not gonna dance around it because I would prefer people to be direct with me.
Yeah. I'm
And-
using like 7 exclamation points on a smiley face.
But like, and like people on my team, like they're just gonna ask me directly what they either need me to do or what they're like want me to send them.
Yeah.
To whereas like with these banks, it's like I can't just say that because I don't want them to think that because me, it's being direct. To them, it could think this person thinks I'm stupid.
So essentially, like, I guess the difference for you probably is that in college you're learning for yourself, and in your job you're learning for yourself, but also what you learn affects others.
Yes. I mean, everything I do pretty much affects other people because it's like, not only am I doing my job, I'm critiquing them on how they did theirs.
Yeah.
And I've never been in that position before.
Sure.
So,
What's it like for you? We talked about this just a little bit earlier, but what's it like for you being one of the newest or youngest members on your team?
for me, I think just because having older siblings and
For those that don't know, you have 3 older sisters.
3 older sisters.
Yes, so you're used to being around and told those of you.
I told my boss
It's a controlled environment.
I told my boss one of my bosses the first day. I said, "Listen, I have 3 older sisters, so you can just tell me what you want me to do, and I'll do it. I'm not gonna ask questions because I've learned better."
Yeah. Stupid mistake.
Yeah. So I guess it's been weird at times, but like also kind of exciting, just because like they took this chance hiring me when there was really like I mean, yeah, I had a strong resume, and I had good recommendations, but like I had no experience.
Yeah, and I would like to talk about that for a minute because if I'm remembering correctly, you didn't actually have all the qualifications.
Yeah, I was missing. Well, so on the job description, it wanted 2 to 3 years of experience, and it said required, I think, or it's either said required or recommended or something. But it wanted people with either like a business degree or an accounting degree.
Yeah,
and it said like or related, but like economics is not something they really throw in there. But I mean, there's people at the bank that have economics degrees, and they basically were like, "That's both. You do both things in those." And then I because they just asked me like, "Have you ever taken, accounting classes?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like, if it was 2009, I could sit for them CPA.
Right.
But
so do you feel like it's been intimidating for you to be the youngest on the team?
At times. It's also been exciting just because that means that everyone else knows more than I do.
Yeah.
Which means that I can ask them questions that I have.
Bother them.
Yeah. Because, again, I
love to bother people.
Yeah. I mean, the only way I can learn is by asking someone who knows or by researching it.
Right.
And researching it requires to look into a regulation that might be 400 pages long. And asking someone who's as simple as saying, "Hey, like, I don't fully understand this. When you get a chance, can you, like, help explain it to me?"
Yeah. So really, for you, like, being the youngest or the newest, in a lot of ways, that's kind of been a good experience and even maybe a benefit to the job.
I think it's been way more beneficial than I would have imagined because it hasn't been viewed as like, he doesn't know what he's doing. It's been more like we can teach him how to do things the way that we think New York City done.
Yeah. This next question is, did you ever hesitate to ask questions? And I think we've
covered that.
Oh, never. Not in this lifetime. But for maybe people that feel like they shouldn't ask questions because they don't want to look inexperienced, what do you think drives you and makes you feel confident doing that? Is it just that at the end of the day, you need to know the answer?
I think it's a little bit of that, but more so is that when you ask a stupid question in your brain, as soon as you ask it, it's not a stupid question anymore because you know the answer.
Yeah.
So then it goes from being like, "Oh, I can't believe I asked that," to like, "I'll never have to ask it again."
Yeah.
So it's just a one-time, they say bite the bullet, and then you get to move on knowing more than you did before. So it's really not and people that really know the answers and that you view as smarter than you aren't going to laugh at you for asking any questions because they only got there by asking thousands of stupid questions.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. How have you felt like maybe your coworkers or even your supervisors have helped ease that insecurity that maybe you've had in this job, or even if they've made it worse sometimes?
I think all they've done is ease it just because, like, for me, the way I learn is getting thrown into something. and having to like figure it out and do the research and like as I'm actively participating in it. And I think that they really helps, like, because I've only been there for here 2 months, but there's been 3 different things that I've gotten to do, mostly on my own. And it's really helped me learn, like, oh, if this happens, then there's these options, how to handle it.
Yeah.
And also, I know that I can ask someone for help without having to worry, like, are they too busy? Because they've told me, like, hey, if you have any question, either email, call, like, you have our phone numbers, like,
Yeah.
whatever we need to do to help, we'll do our best.
Yeah. So you're really supportive people.
Very supportive people.
What would you say, maybe when you have a hard day on the job, like at the end of that, what helps you rebuild confidence and to go back in there and feel like, I know how to do this?
I usually look at things like on a day by day. So like as soon as that bad day's over, that hard day's over, it's over.
Yeah.
I know I try not to think about it. I try to...
It was a day, days got in, right?
Days got in. I mean, I think, because like compartmentalization is important in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I think it's important in like keeping your mood better, just because like you don't need to carry in a bad Monday into a Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
Because like it's not just going to affect you, it's going to affect the people around you.
Yeah.
So if you can just say like, yeah, it was a really rough day, but like tomorrow's has a chance to be better. Even if it's still bad, it may not be as bad as the day before.
Yeah.
So like whether you need to look at it as like a day to day or a week to week, like it's gonna get better. I mean,
that's a great attitude. I would never do that. I'm just kidding. I would.
Minute by minute.
Yeah, minute by minute, really. And I think that's very realistic, is that sometimes that is how your job goes, is you have a really tough day and you kind of have to say, okay, well, maybe today will be better or tomorrow will be better. And if it's not, then maybe the next day will.
Well, and it's like, because sometimes when you're having to learn everything on the fly, it's going to get so overwhelming where you're like, I don't even know what I learned today.
Yeah.
And you're just sitting there like staring at your computer thinking like, I don't even know what I accomplished. So I have to do a different route.
Right. And I think also one that day doesn't mean that's not where you're supposed to be at.
Yeah.
And so that's something important to keep in mind too. When would you say that during this job that maybe you've started to feel a little more comfortable?
Probably 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So like a month and a half in?
Yeah, month and a half in. Well, I say that really just like a full month in, because like I started, my first audit that I did was at the beginning of January, and then I got like a week and a half or 2 weeks before my next like big one. So I got to really like sit down and like realize like I did it. Like I finished it. I did it mostly on my own.
Yeah.
Like I can do this.
Yeah.
Like all it's here, like they're going to get bigger, but like as long as I just stick to the scripts and, like work, try hard and ask for help, I can figure it out.
Yeah. That's great that like those accomplishments continue to drive on. How can new graduates give themselves grace, maybe in those beginning stages? So like for you left college and you got a job. For me, my situation was a little bit different. I graduated, I took my gap year, and which was on purpose.
Backpacking from
Yeah, something like that. Laying on my couch for Netflix.
Suits is a great show.
And then I got a job, but I feel like I wasn't very good at giving myself grace. Or maybe I gave myself too much grace. Maybe that was no less, because I was like, I'll get a job.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah. But what would you say for you maybe has been helpful, and would you want other students to know grace-wise?
I think that you have to learn to leave the job in either your office or, if you have an office at home, leave it in that room. Because the second that you carry it into your evening, it's going to just control your life, because how that day would, maybe it's your coworker that got up, so was having a bad day and took it out on you, or maybe it's someone from the bank that, didn't understand what you were asking, not that they lashed out, but they, sent you an email that you thought, well, they think that I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I think you just have to say like, it's over. Like the day's over. I don't have to carry this into my evening because I'm not what my work is. I still get to be like myself.
Yeah.
And for me, it's having hobbies is extremely important, just because then I don't have to think about the mistakes I made or like what I should have done better. I can just be like, it's going to be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's going to be there, next week. I have time to figure it out. I don't need to think that just because I didn't do this today means that life is going to end.
Yeah. I feel like that really ties back into what you were saying earlier, is taking it day by day, minute by minute. That's what it takes. And I think, like, seeing from experience, it can be really easy to get down about something that you stay that way. I think you have done a really good job at separating, like, this job is not my life. And I think that's really important, because your job is important, but also it's not who you are at the end of the day. And I think that's a really great way to be able to find a way to say, I do deserve some grace here, because who I am from 8 to 5 is not who I am.
Well, and
as a whole.
For me, it's always been, I hope at my funeral, they don't say, you were a great auditor.
Yeah.
And
You were really good at your job.
if they say that,
I mean, that's what I'm going to say.
I did a,
I'm definitely going to outlet you. That's what I'm going to say.
but like, if that's what people have to say about me, then I didn't do anything that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Like, I just only let my life control me, and that means that the people around me were affected negatively, and I never want to be the person that does that.
So what would you say, as a closing reflection, like, what confidence means to you now, even if maybe you're still growing in that at work?
I think it's more the confidence that I mean now is the confidence that I've always had. I just didn't realize it, because the confidence to ask the repetitive questions has given me more confidence about, like, knowing and, like, starting to understand, or at least scratch the surface of, like, what I need to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, people told me, like, hey, we still reference this stuff. It's not like you're going to memorize it. Yeah. And that's really helped me, because I've always been like, I have a good memory. So I've always thought, like, well, you know, you could memorize these things and it makes it way easier. Where now I'm like, I'm going to use all the materials I can, because that's what they're there for. Like, I don't need to feel like just because I have to use the book means that I can't do it. It's more like, I'm going to use every piece of the book that I have to.
Right, like, that's what they are.
That's, otherwise they wouldn't have given me these resources.
Yeah. Well, I love that. I think it's a good reminder that even though those feelings of going into the job and just graduating college, those things are very real, but so is the fact that there's excitement that comes with starting something new. There is a way to build confidence with starting something new, and there's a lot of good on the other side of that. I don't have anything else for you, but I'm really glad that you came on. I'm going to let everyone know, if they want to be on the podcast, they have to be related to me. Nepotism is real. Nepotism. It's alive and well.
Yeah.
But really, I am thankful that you came on and you got to tell us a little bit about just what this has been like, because it has been a transition, and it's a transition that a lot of our students are going to see in the coming weeks, months, years. And I hope that they take this and realize, like, it doesn't have to be scary, even though it is at the beginning.
Yeah. Well, and also don't think that just because I only took a week and a half off between graduating and starting my job, that doesn't have to be the path.
Right. Everyone's is different.
For the people that know me, that was the only path that made sense, because I don't do well with downtime.
Yeah.
Some people need downtime to decompress and, like, appreciate that, hey, I just did one of the coolest things ever.
Right.
I just graduated college. Like,
I'm here to take the compliment. Yeah.
And they kind of actually, I needed that time to sit and other accomplishment.
yeah. And for me, it's always been like, I've always been so accomplishment driven that I just saw it as like another check mark on a box, not to what it really was.
Yeah.
So, like, I really didn't appreciate it until, like, 2 weeks ago, where I was like, oh my gosh, when I picked up my
Right when you got your home, and then
I was like, hey, this is cool. But, like, in the moment, I was just like, yeah, that was what it was expected. But, like, it really is a cool thing.
And I think the other thing that's exciting is that learning is forever, and no one can take that knowledge from you. And I hope that you're getting to experience that. And it sounds like you are, because you're talking a lot about, even though I feel like maybe I should know these things, that's what learning is for. So I hope that's what our listeners can take away from this today. I hope you guys tune back into our next episode, and that you enjoyed this one with my little brother, Nathan Dacus. Thanks, guys. See you next time.